The series begins at night with gangsters removing buried boxes from underground. In a different scene, Seo Yeon is having breakfast with her husband, Hong In-pyo, who seems curious about her childhood friend, Hee-ju, who belongs to an aristocratic family. Seo Yeon works as a house cleaner. When she's done cleaning, she meets, secretly, with Jae-hun, her best friend's husband. The forbidden love affair doesn't go unnoticed by Hee-ju. However, she doesn't know who her husband's mistress is. It's the domestic violence that pushes Seo Yeon towards Jae-hun. They're being invited over to dinner at Hee-ju's home. During the table conversation, Seo Yeon vents her suppressed anger over her friend's lavish lifestyle. At night, she, aimlessly, goes out, and Jae-hun follows her, trying to stop her from any recklessness on her side. But suddenly, they hear a thudding in the cover of darkness, and when they search for the source of the sound, they find a body lying on the ground next to a box full of money. Jae-hun thinks it's best to report to the police, but Seo Yeon stops him, saying that they better keep the money. He takes the money and puts it in the car. Meanwhile, she finds an injured man who gives her a key. The man dies. Immediately afterward, they hide the money at the bottom of the well that's close to an abandoned house next to Hee-ju's house. A former police officer, Tae Woo, who is out of his duties because of a money laundering case that he was investigating in the past. At night, men storm into his house and take him to a deserted place. They beat him hard and ask him about the money which his brother, Tae Hyen, stole. However, the kidnappers realize that Tae Woo has no knowledge of the stolen money or that his brother has been killed in a car accident. Tae Woo's brother was the financial manager in a company that manages money laundering operations. The money should have been delivered to Kim Do-hak, who is the front face of the fake company. But the car accident got everything messed up. Back to Seo Yeon. She gets ready to leave with her husband. On their way back, they notice the overturned car on the road. Seo Yeon loses her sense of reality for a while as she becomes completely engrossed in the incident and what has happened the previous night. When she arrives home, she calls Jae-hun and tells him that the owner of this money won't report it to the police because it came from a suspicious source. She reassures him that they must remain silent for a week, after which they will move to their next step. As for Tae Woo, he meets Kim Do-hak. He tells him that he doesn't care that the company is a cover for any illegal activities. All that matters to him is his brother's affairs. Why did this money reach his hands? Kim Do-hak replies that they should join their efforts to know everything about the money and his brother as well. But Tae Woo refuses his suggestion and leaves the company. Seo Yeon prepares to collect the money. She buys 2 large bags and calls Jae-hun to tell him about their meeting. He replies that he can't meet her because his father-in-law has surprised him with a visit, and now he is auditing the company's accounts. Jae-hun faces a hard time in the company, especially since his father-in-law has found that there is some money missing in the company's accounts. Tae Woo receives a car and a fake police badge to make it easier for him to investigate his brother's case. He heads to the scene of the accident and meets Seo Yeon on the road. He helps her with her car tire. He doesn't know that she only has gotten the money from the well and put it in the back of her car. When he checks the spare tire, he finds cleaning supplies and 2 large bags, but he doesn't pay attention to that. After he repairs the tire, they talk for a while about the car accident and that 2 people died in it. Then they go their separate ways. When Tae Woo arrives at the villa, which is near the accident site, he asks the landlord about the tenants. He replies that he can't give him their numbers or identities. Tae Woo comments that he's the owner, like his daughter, who doesn't know what is going on in this place, but the man says that he doesn't have a daughter. Tae Woo begins suspecting the woman he met on the way. As for Seo Yeon, she hides the money in a studio apartment owned by one of her clients. The owner gave her the key to the studio to take care of the aquarium that she had. Since Jae-hun needs money to cover the shortfall in his company's accounts, which his father-in-law noticed, he calls Seo Yeon, but she doesn't answer his calls. He becomes worried, especially when he doesn't find the money in the well. He goes to Seo Yeon's house and waits until her husband leaves. Jae-hun goes up and asks her about the money. She replies that she has put the money in a safe place and that he will get his share when the time is right for that. He returns to his office, where his wife, Hee-ju, meets him. He confides in her that he needs money. She replies that she won't give him anything and that she is the one who sent her father, especially after she learns that he is cheating on her. A heated discussion occurs between them, upon which she leaves the office in anger. It seems that misfortunes are continually pouring on Jae-hun. Tae Woo comes to his office as well. He interrogates him about the accident. Jae-hun denies knowing anything about that and asks why it's not the Guangdong police that has to look into the case. Tae Woo dodges answering his question. Instead, he says that this matter is not within Jae-hun's authority to ask about, as this is a matter related to his work. A typical police answer anywhere on Earth. During this time, Jae-hun becomes nervous, and after Tae Woo leaves, he calls Seo Yeon to meet her in the studio, and Tae Woo follows him. Seo Yeon checks the money through a money-counting machine and finds that the entire amount is $9.9 million. When both are in the apartment, the owner, Mi-roy, arrives and catches them red-handed. In an accelerated event, she immediately calls the police, but Jae-hun pushes her, upon which her head hits the edge of the fish tank. She loses consciousness. Jae-hun suggests hiding the money in a safer place when Seo Yeon calls an ambulance. When Jae-hun takes the money, Tae Woo remembers the same 2 bags that he saw in the back of Seo Yeon's car. He follows Jae-hun until he reaches a warehouse where he hides the bags. Meanwhile, Seo Yeon reaches the hospital. After that, the 2 thieving lovers meet and discuss the possibility of dividing the money into 3 parts. The last third goes to the owner of the studio, but Jae-hun rejects this proposal. In a bar, Tae Woo meets Oh Dae-young and asks to look for the owner of a car, which means Seo Yeon. And in another scenario, Hee-ju gets a call from her father telling her that her husband has fulfilled the deficit in the company's accounts, which is $500,000. Immediately, Seo Yeon calls Jae-hun to meet him. And in an hour they meet. Jae-hun accuses his partner in crime that she must have taken the missing $100,000 from the stolen heist otherwise. $9.9 million doesn't make any sense. Then why is she making a big fuss over what he has taken from her back? Seo Yeon leaves frustrated and sits in her car to breathe a little, but that doesn't last long, as Tae Woo shows his face through the car window, and then the fake Guangdong's police badge. He sits in the car next to her and tells her that he knows everything. However, he doesn't care much about her personal affairs and whether she is cheating on her husband with her best friend's husband. All that matters to him is that, as an accomplice in the crime, she has to confess to stealing the money, especially since dangerous gangsters are after her. But Seo Yeon still denies participating in stealing the money. Tae Woo gives her his business card in case she changes her mind. In the meantime, her husband watches her from afar with dubious thoughts in his mind. Seo Yeon visits Mi-roy and learns that she is still unconscious. When she leaves, she bumps into a person disguised as a doctor. In a few moments, she hears the emergency call saying that the patient in room 210 is in a dangerous state. After that, she learns that Mi-roy has died. Jae-hun meets Seo Yeon, who asks him whether he killed Mi-roy in the hospital. He replies in his frustration that he doesn't want to split the money with her. His reply leaves Seo Yeon with open-ended answers about whether he's the one who killed Mi-roy. In the middle of her frustrations, she calls Tae Woo to tell him that there was a key next to the body at the scene of the accident. After that, she collects her belongings, but her husband storms in and beats her severely, then puts her in the freezer. During these critical moments, Tae Woo, who's on the phone, hears the noise. He hurries out to rescue her and knocks the husband down. After that, they go to the warehouse and take the money. Then she gives him the key that she was talking about. Since what matters to Ta Woo is how his brother died, he only takes the key. Seo Yeon takes the car with the money and goes to one of her elderly clients to stay for a while at her place. When Jae-hun doesn't find the money, he gets furious. He asks the guard, who shows him the recording of the security cameras. He jots down the number of the car, and when he talks with his wife, she tells him that Seo Yeon has left her home. When he calls her, he bursts out with apologies and that he hasn't been in his senses when he said that they should separate. He then asks about the money. All this has been heard by Hong In-pyo, the abusive husband. As for Seo Yeon, she uses the thug known as the Black Bear to integrate the money for her in legitimate operations so that she can travel with it anywhere she wants. The Black Bear asks for his share of the money, and in an attempt to stop harming her, Ta Woo comes on time and saves her life. Tae Woo opens the safe with the key that Seo Yeon gave him. He finds pictures and files that put Seo Min-ju in jail, and since he's watched by Kim's men, they kidnap him. Another twist occurs when Hong In-pyo gets in the way of Oh and Seo Yeon, and the man falls on the ground. Seo Yeon is taken away, and when she wakes up, she finds out that her husband has tied her to a chair. He's a psycho who tortures her and then cleans the wound. She tells him where the money is, upon which he leaves her, showing her that he doesn't care about her love affairs. All that matters is money. Jae-hun unties her, and when she knows that her husband has come back after learning that she played with him, she becomes paranoid. She manages to escape when her husband catches Jae-hun, and Seo Yeon calls Oh, who comes with his men, but Hong In-pyo runs away. Seo Yeon decides to help Ta Woo after learning that Seo Min-ju is after his brother's stolen money. Meanwhile, Ta Woo, who's tortured by Kim's men, tells Seo Min-ju that he'll give him the key he's after once he tells him what has happened to his deceased brother. His brother's story was that he wanted to reach the big boss, but on the day of the money's handout, he somehow sniffed the betrayal. Hence, he changed his path, and the accident was the result. Tae Woo, who's not up to giving him Seo Yeon's name, refuses to say anything. Seo Min-ju becomes furious and takes him out. Ta Woo, the Wonder Man, manages to get the car in an upside-down accident and calls his man, Mr. O, to help him out. He hurries out to help him with Seo Yeon. When they're safe, Ta Woo learns that Seo Yeon was up to give the money in exchange for his safety. They decide to gather their effort to solve his brother's mystery and reach the car accident site. There, they find the box in which the money was placed. They catch a boy there who tells them what he has seen during that ominous night. He saw two men arguing over something. Then they drove the car away. When the boy checked the area, he found a box full of $100,000. Now, he's the one who took the missing amount of the $9.9 million. Tae Woo's mind swirls around the idea of his brother throwing punches at anyone. There has to be a reason behind that. But who's the driver, and why did they have that fight that led to the fatal accident? As for Seo Yeon, she calls her friend Hee-ju and tells her that she is donating a sum of money to a child, as Hee-ju owns a charitable foundation. Then, Seo Yeon calls Jae-hun to give his share of the heist and the password for the safe. When Jae-hun arrives at the place of the safe, he finds it empty and doubts that she has led him into a trap. He doesn't know that his wife knows everything about his affair with her friend and that she's the one who has taken the money. Tae Woo meets Seo Min-ju to find out about the driver who was with his brother in the car on the night of the accident. Seo Min-ju tells Ta Woo that the mastermind of all the operations is a man named Leon. He had hired a professional killer to kill his brother. In the past, Ta Woo was about to arrest Leon, but he couldn't do that. Plus, he couldn't recognize his face. However, he'd noticed those remarkable silvery rings on his fingers. That night, Officer Jung was killed during the operation, and a bribe was arranged against Ta Woo thus. He had been suspended from work as a policeman. To the present, Ta Woo asks a computer hacker, Kim Seok, to hack Seo Yeon's accounts. He finds in one of the folders a picture of her with Bak Sung-ja, one of Seo Min-ju's men, who is the CEO of a company called Mammoth Financial's webpage. Tae Woo meets Seo Yeon. Meanwhile, Seo Min-ju's men follow them. Seo Yeon gets a phone call from Baek, who tells her that things are out of control and that they need to meet ASAP. But before taking any further action, Tae Woo shows her the same picture. He tells her that Baek is responsible for taking his brother's life. During their talk, Tae Woo gets a phone call from Kim Seok that Oh Dae-young has been taken by the thugs. Tae Woo hurries to save his friend's life, whereas Seo Yeon meets back. Things get clearer to only add more mystery to the big picture. Who has taken the $100,000? Who has killed Tae Hyen? Seo Yeon heads back to where she hid the money, at the old lady, Jang's place. Before her arrival, Hong In-pyo reaches the money hideout, but finds the old lady on the ground and takes her to the hospital. Only Seo Yeon knows where the money is. Now the amount has dropped down to $2,850,000. She calls Seo Min-ju to save Tae Woo's life. The thug Kim Do-hak wants to get this damn $9.9 million, which is getting decreased with the time passing. Money in exchange for Ta's head, that's the deal. Get it done, Mr. Kim. And when Tae Woo is free, his thoughts get tangled in something else. He doesn't buy what Seo Yeon says that Baek's hands aren't dirty with his brother's death. Time for the champion's disagreement, followed by her in the thug's car. Kim Do-hak demands the full amount, but she says that if it were not for her, the amount would have been in the hands of the police, who would have investigated the suspicious matter. Her husband comes to her defense, saying that they should have his head on a pike instead of hers. But Seo Yeon doesn't believe him at all. She gets a call from Hong In-pyo. He tells her that his wife is locked up because of the money. She calls her husband, Jae-hun, and confronts him about his longtime affair with her friend, fooling her around. She knows about murdering Myra. Nothing goes unchecked under her wide-open eyes. Seo Yeon escaped her confinement and finds her rival, Hee-ju, who takes her to the airport. But that goes in vain, since Seo Yeon refuses to move a foot without that money. Things reach the police, who want to investigate the mystery of the money. And Tae Woo still is after who killed his brother, Leon, or Kim Do-hak. Baek, who turns out to be the stepbrother of Seo Yeon, clears out some of the history of money. 3 years ago, Leon committed a fraud amounting to $300 million. That's to say that $10 million was a teeny-tiny amount that had been transferred to the company. But since Leon was in trouble to get into Korea, the gangs needed to get rid of the $10 million. And the operation he was leading 3 years ago was against Leon. And that on the day of the accident, when Kang Tae Woo was in the car, the driver attempted to kill him, but Tae Woo attacked back. When Tae Woo hears the story, he gets furious and attacks Baek, because he's the one who gave orders to the driver to burn the money down with his brother. Things get tense, especially when Tae Woo goes to Kim's place, but finds it empty. It's all connected. Hee-ju knows the whole story, and now she's up to join the big shark, Seo Min-ju. Baek gets orders from Leon to kill Kim and Tae Woo. Kim tells Seo Min-ju about the hideout of the money, who in turn informs Hee-ju about the money hideout. She contacts Seo Yeon to tell her the money's place in exchange for her confessing that she killed Myra, which is their agreement to cover for her husband, Jae-hun. And Baek tells Tae Woo about the hideout of that famous money. The rival parties gather somewhere dark and gloomy, different paths, and the target is one: money. Kim Do-hak starts a fire in the heist when from his back, Baek shoots him dead, and other thugs middle in. But nobody knows what Leon looks like, and Tae Woo learns that the burnt money isn't the real heist that they're looking for. Baek has one thing in mind: saving his sister's life. He knows that if he doesn't obey Leon, then most likely she'll be killed. Finally, Leon appears in the scene when he gets a call informing him that Baek didn't kill Kim as he ordered him. Hence, he kills Baek immediately. Tae Woo finds him taking his last breath. Bak's last words are to take good care of his sister because Leon is after her. The night becomes bustling with thrilling twists that eventuate with Leon getting serious injuries, but nobody figures out his real identity as Leon. The Interpol decides to put an end to his life and announces his death since they found his distinguished rings on one of the bodies. However, Leon gets out of the hospital and goes back to his dwelling when his assistant tells him that he's officially dead. And now his name has become Daniel Kim. He's in deep gratitude for Seo Yeon, who saved his life, even though she doesn't know him and has no clue that he's the one who killed Baek, her stepbrother. Now, the money has ended with Hong In-pyo and spending as much as pleases him. But that wasn't to last for too long, as Leon wants that money to be burned. He reaches Hong In-pyo's place and finds out that the pretty woman who saved his life is Seo Yeon. He meets her at a restaurant and introduces himself as Daniel Kim, the foreign investor. He wants her to come with him to the party tonight. Everyone sees Seo Yeon with the new rich man Daniel. Her greed pushes her toward unbelievable ends as she goes with him to his fake investment company. Leon hints to his secretary to release the fox hunt operation, upon which she meets Seo Min-ju and tells him about that. So all threads lead to Leon. He has made such an impact on society with his new investor identity. Without his wife's knowledge, Jae-hun visits Leon to invest in his company, knowing not that the fox hunt operation aspires to destroy Hee-ju and her father. The secretary disturbs Leon's high spirits when she comes in showing him a poster of his picture with a demand of $10 million. Attempting to play with the sharks, it's Hong In-pyo who sent it. He also sends a voice message to Tae Woo under a restricted number that Leon is still alive, and he has to come at 11 p.m. behind the GM Center. Indeed, Tae Woo goes to the agreed-upon location, and before that, Leon sends his men to inspect the area. Leon learns that Tae Woo is just bait to hook him into a vicious plan. As an initiative part of the fox hunt, Seo Yeon visits her friend, Hee-ju, and offers to invest in the company, which she rejects. While she's out, Seo Yeon passes by Tae Woo, who heads to Hee-ju's office to ask her if her offer is valid for the sake of collaborating. He tells her that the reason behind her foundation's scandalous falling is Leon. His man, Kim Seok, hacked Seo Min-ju's email and found a folder under the name Gaza del Zorro, which means fox hunt. Despite their unity, they can be tyros when they're against the longtime dark dwellers. Seo Min-ju notices an eavesdropping device planted in his office. He pretends to be talking to someone on a phone about the money's whereabouts, passing falsified info to the person who'll be soon trapped in the bait. Out of a desperate move, Jae-hun visits Leon, once again asking for a loan for a university project. He gets his request, but when he tells his wife, she goes against him, asking him to cancel the whole deal. Jae-hun thinks it's the perfect way out of the financial crisis that the company is suffering after her father's scandal. She responds that she knows what she is doing. As for Seo Yeon, she meets the CEO of Dongyeon Capital, asking him to head a project with Hee-ju's foundation, and that she shouldn't know about the source of the fund. While she is riding in the car, Seo Yeon sees Hee-ju with Tae Woo. They meet the CEO and take the money, not knowing its funding source. Hong In-pyo thinks that he's going to take the money, but instead, he finds Seo Min-ju and his men waiting for him. He says once they kill him, an email will be sent in a few hours, and the whole world will know the real identity of Mr. Daniel Kim. So his return is a must, since he's the only one who knows how to stop sending the email. At the same time, Tae Woo arrives. Upon asking about Leon, Hong In-pyo replies that he won't utter a word unless the money is in his hand. In the hospital, with Mrs. Jang, who has found a donor for her lungs plantation operation, Hee-ju asks Seo Yeon whether she wants to invest in her company. She replies that she already has put a short-term fund of $6 million in Dongyeon Capital, and that if Hee-ju doesn't pay on the specified date, she is entitled to collect the money. Hee-ju gets furious at how easily she got trapped in the game, knowing that Donyan Capital is owned by Seo Yeon, who has planned it all to get her destroyed. She heads out to her office and calls Donyan Capital's CEO, emphasizing that he should have told her that the funds are coming from Daniel Kim. Seo Yeon meets Leon, who tells her that her dream of becoming one of the business tycoons is about to become real, and that Mr. Jae-hun will head the business. Meanwhile, Seo Min-ju is up to kill Ta Woo as per Leon's orders, and Hee-ju converses with Ta Woo over glasses of drink about their lost fate, how they can't meet the people they love. On the other side, Leon celebrates his victory with his new partners. When Jae-hun wants to refill the glasses, he finds the name Gaza del Zorro on the bottle. He recalls his wife saying something about Leon aiming to finish her and her dad under that very name. This means that the man who's sitting there is Leon. He calls Ta Woo, who doesn't answer him, who's engaged in a fight with Seo Min-ju. When it gets late, Seo Yeon intends to leave, but as for Jae-hun, Leon asks him to stay longer. He asks Seo Yeon in a low voice that she should call him in an hour. Since Seo Min-ju has failed to kill Ta Woo, he expects that he will be killed at any time by Leon's men. But before that, he sent an email to Ta Woo. Leon reveals the fox hunt operation. He says that he wants to destroy Hee-ju to the ground. Jae-hun gets angry and leaves him, but Leon's men take him by force. Seo Yeon sees that and calls Ta Woo for his help. But that's late because the gang stabbed Jae-hun to death, and they mourn his departed soul. Ta Woo finds the email with Leon's bank accounts, however. Kim Seok fails to access the accounts. It's only Seo Yeon who can find out the password. In one of their meetings, she gets the chance to find out that the code is in a tiny chip inside one of Leon's rings. When she's about to leave, Leon tells her from behind that she has stolen from him twice. The first time she stole the $9.9 million, and now she is stealing the chip from his ring. That's a shame for a pretty lady like herself. The end is when Seo Yeon takes the money from Leon and gives it to her husband, Hong In-pyo, with the name of the money laundering expert that her brother, Baek, told her about. And as he promised, Leon takes Seo Yeon to a VIP investors meeting. On the day of the meeting, everyone involved in the $9.9 million case has come together to take down the head of the snake, Leon. In front of the attendees, Hee-ju reveals Daniel's real identity, upon which the VIP investors leave. Leon points the gun at them, but in a tactical talk, Seo Yeon tells him that by now, he has empty bank accounts. Leon checks his accounts, and the device which the squad hid near his computer detects the password. And Kim Seok accesses the accounts before Leon. Leon loses his temper, while Hong In-pyo comes in time. He puts the device that has the money account in Seo Yeon's pocket. Leon kills him, and he kills him, and everyone kills everyone else, except for Seo Yeon. After she's recovered from the injury, she splits the money between herself, Hee-ju, and My-riz kid. The ending comes when Ta Woo rejoins the police and meets Seo Yeon in the airport. She reveals her feelings to him, and they plan to meet on the island which she dreamt all of her life about.